If you want to discuss this motorcycle, I will be live on YouTube on 14th March at 8 p.m. We're about to ride the KTM Duke 250. A lot of you subscribers told my friend Saddam to give me a test drive, and he's been very good. So if you want to book this motorcycle or anything, you can contact him, and we'll be having a subscriber meetup later today. But this motorcycle is somewhat a cross between the Duke 390 and the Duke 200, and as I ride it, I'll take you more through the details. For example, I'll just give you one short example. This console is from the previous version of the KTM Dukes. The RC390, the 2017 version, still has it, but when you take a look at the bodywork, the new trellis frame and all that, it is from the new 390. So this is somewhat getting elements from the Duke 200 and the 390, and this is stuck somewhere in the middle. If you look at the price point, it is 30,000 more than the KTM Duke 200 and 50,000 less than the 390. So even there, it's matched up. Take a look at the front. We've got the DRLs, which everyone loves, but instead of the all LED headlight, you have a normal halogen headlight, which is well, not everyone will like it, but this is done to cut costs. On the tires department, again, it's the same. You have MRS from the Duke 200, but not the Metzelas. Seating, again, from the Duke 390. So it's all kind of mixed in this motorcycle, and I'll be getting up and showing you the console, how it is. This is the same console as the RC390. If you haven't seen the RC390 review, you need to check it out. We took it for a 300 kilometers long road test, and now we're going to do this motorcycle on the city ride review. Now in today's video, we'll be mostly covering it from the city rider's perspective, because I don't think that most people who are going to ride this bike are going to take it for very long tours, because most of the touring audience is going to the bigger bike, the KTM Duke 390. First up is going to be the fuel station. Then we will be coming back and doing a ride inside the city. I think the riding position has changed. The handlebars are lower. I don't know if you'll believe me, but I have a video on my channel which was almost a year old. When the first spy shots came out, I predicted that the 2017 KTM Duke 390 and the Duke 250, which has the same ergonomics, these bikes will have a lower handlebar. I wanted this change to be made onto the motorcycle when the new version comes out, because the previous handlebar was so high up that I wasn't a big fan of that, because I feel in the corners it gave me less feedback. And now the handlebar feels lower, and that is something I've always wanted. So right off the block, I just love that fact that we've got a lower handlebar. So I was having a discussion with Saddam over there, and he's saying the motorcycle is returning around 30 kilometers per liter in city, which seems to be a good number for me, honestly. This locking mechanism is pretty nice. The switch gear in KTM seem to have improved in the 2017 models. I definitely had the previous version, the 2013 Duke. And let me give you some background if this is the first time you're watching my channel. I ride a 2013 KTM Duke 390, and we've got a large heating problem, and I don't own a car or anything. That's my only mode of transportation. So I ride the Duke 390 in traffic a lot, and I know the problems that we face. I wear these leg protectors, so I'm kind of protected from the heat because of the leg protectors, but I know other riders how they struggle, and even sometimes when I'm doing bumper to bumper traffic, I've faced that problem on my bike as well. It's got a 46 teeth rear sprocket, supposed to deliver a lot more power in the lower range, but as far as I understand sprockets, if you have that big a sprocket, it's going to affect your top speed. So some people were complaining why a 250cc motorcycle is doing only 142 kilometers top speed, speedo indicated, and I think that's got to do with the bigger sprocket. As I'm taking this motorcycle through the U-turn, I can tell you, if you're going to ride this through the city, it's going to be an absolute breeze. This is 13 kgs heavier than the previous Duke, but honestly I don't really feel the weight. The Duke 200, if you ask me, was the best motorcycle for city. If I had to buy a dedicated motorcycle for city riding, I would buy the Duke 200, and that is why I'm so excited about this motorcycle, because I wanted to know whether after buying this bike people who will be basically buying it for the city commute will be happy or not. And I was a little bit apprehensive about the weight. Honestly, I don't really feel it. We are in the middle of some chaotic traffic conditions. Okay, it's got that all new throttle. This is very easy to twist and get full throttle. Acceleration, it's not going to be that crazy acceleration that scares you, and with the more apt and proper fueling on the previous Duke 200, and this bike also gets that same sort of fueling. It doesn't have that throttle by wire system, but it does get the slipper clutch, which is very useful for city because light clutch operation, you know, bumper to bumper traffic, you're gonna love that light clutch operation. The acceleration is definitely useful for city, specifically when you're doing city overtakes, or even when you're taking this motorcycle for highway tours. I'm sure you'll be taking it for some highway tours, and you will also love it somewhat there. Today's review is not gonna focus on touring, it's gonna focus on filtering like this, and it's gonna also focus on how the acceleration is within the city. Specifically in the lower gears, you know, if you open up the throttle, if you're not scared to twist it up, it's definitely got enough to put you ahead of the traffic. Like, I just twist it, one twist and you'll be ahead of the traffic. Suspension, Dukes always have that harder suspension, but here I feel that the suspension's been softened up a little bit, because at least from my Duke 390, I don't ride a Duke 200 all the time, so I cannot compare it with that, but compared to the Duke 390, I can tell you that the suspension is much softer. On the real world sort of test, like when an auto is on your left side and a Toyota Innova is trying to push you out from the right side, what happens when you ride like that? When you really do some hooliganism within city. KTM engine braking, which has now been reduced by the throttle by wire, as this motorcycle doesn't have the throttle by wire, I'm still getting that old strong engine braking. For me, in a way, I'm so used to this that I'm not really feeling much of a problem. Let me just show you. Okay, so I was in third gear, I was a little bit over gear, and I still opened up the throttle. At first there was a delay in that power delivery, and then it kicked in. So you're gonna have the torque range in this motorcycle is not very good, and that being a 250cc engine, it's pretty easy to say that. And what you're gonna do is going to keep that motorcycle in its proper rev range, otherwise it's gonna feel less powerful. Now, when I put it into second gear and I open the throttle, it's gonna be giving that huge acceleration, but when I put it into third gear and do the same thing, the roll-on acceleration is gonna affect, and that's basically because of the smaller capacity engine. It's got a proper Street Fighter look, that curved out trellis frame. It's taking all of the styling cues from the bigger 1290 Super Duke car, and I'm sure some Super Duke car owners cursing us right now because we're on a 250cc single cylinder motor and we have basically the same looks as his bike. Front end is heavier than the previous bike. I've ridden the Duke 200 and that's lighter. Not much difference when you compare it to the Duke 200's initial acceleration right off the block, and I think that's because 5 bhp of gain is on one side and then 13 kgs of weight gain is also there, so it's kind of nullifying the initial power delivery, and that is somewhat why I like the old Dukes. They were so minimalist, such a bare bones design that they delivered on performance. This, however, is gonna be a motorcycle everyone's gonna look at while you're riding. So if you're buying this motorcycle, I think you're more concerned about city and you're more concerned about the styling, which is obviously the best selling point and the USP, that you're getting a 1290 Super Duke car sort of looks on a 250cc motorcycle. It's definitely a lot better looking than the Yamaha FZ25, and as I know, India is a very, very looks sensitive and a price sensitive market, and in both of those accounts this bike delivers just top notch. I just forgot about the shooting and got some great angles coming up right now. It's still got that front lightness, which is extremely good and useful in city traffic like we're riding right now. It's getting the 300mm disc from the Duke 200. A lot of people were expecting the bigger 320mm disc from the Duke 390 because this is a heavier bike, but it's not there. For city riding purposes, I don't think this is much of a big difference. But I know, having one of the old Dukes, the biggest problem was the brakes fading after you ride a few kilometers on it. So that's going to be there on this bike until and unless they have changed something internally and made the brakes better. Fuel tank capacity is going to be 13.5 liters, same as the Duke 390, but this bike's delivering around 30 kilometers per liter, which is going to make this motorcycle a lot more in the fuel range. If you're going to take it for a longer trip, that's one advantage it has. But obviously it doesn't have ABS, it doesn't have the Metzeler tires, and that's why I think if you're looking for a touring motorcycle, the first thing you should be doing is taking the 390. Honestly, 50,000 more for all of those features, the 390 any day. But yes, the mileage is going to be better on this bike, so a lot of people want mileage, and for that I cannot really blame you. Now, comparing it with the Yamaha FZ250, I think it's a little pricier by about 25 or 30 grand over the FZ250, and well, it's got DRLs, it's got the absolute beautiful looks, and this is also a 250cc engine, and that is also a 250cc engine. It has got a lot more power on paper, but that is almost the same acceleration as this bike, the FZ250, and I think that has got more to do with the fact that the FZ may be a lot lighter as a motorcycle. So should you buy this or that, I cannot tell you right now because I have to ride both the bikes back to back for that. I'm impressed by this bike. If I was in college about 20 years old, I would buy this bike over the RC200 any day. I really like how it pulls away from the traffic. Look at how we have left the traffic out. Brakes are, for city use, I cannot complain about the brakes. For highway use, maybe when you have the motorcycle at higher speeds, it will be a problem. But on this bike, okay. So as before I got distracted by the chicks, I was telling you about how you can have fun with this bike. I think a lot of rash driving is about to happen on this bike, and I think people should really be careful. We're actually in one of the crowdest of areas. This must be insane, riding through so much traffic and talking to you guys as if nothing has happened. I'm sure some guy from Europe or the USA is watching this review right now, and he's thinking this guy is crazy. But I know, as an Indian rider, that all of you guys can actually do this, and that is why you're watching my review and you're like, yeah, I can do that. But so I just want to show you how flickable it is. We're on the third gear. It's flicking just like nothing's happening, nobody's business. You can go into all of the gaps, right? Filtering through the gaps. Does it really heat up? We've been doing quite a lot of riding right now, and we've been through some horrible traffic. I don't really feel that much of a heat, but I'm wearing leg protectors and other gear, and it's still March, but it is pretty hot. We have got a bright sun up there, and within the city we were facing some pretty good traffic, but we didn't go through bumper to bumper traffic. But still, I'd say the heating is manageable. I don't really feel that much heating. Okay, so I should be did a little bit of strong braking there. In the gearing ratio, I think they've made some smaller changes, but it's still a motorcycle that you need to keep shifting if you need to keep the motorcycle in its boils, because otherwise, if you cannot keep it in its boils, the bike won't be feeling that powerful. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna turn off or anything. It's not gonna turn off. The power is just superb. I have to conclude this ride very soon because we're about to hit our KTM dealership that is over here. So we're going to take this motorcycle inside and we're going to conclude the review. So we just had the city ride of the KTM Duke 250 and I've already shared all of my thoughts to it. If I have to add something to that, I would add that the new exhaust sound of the Duke 250 is absolutely fantastic. You know, a lot of people have been complaining about the Duke 200 and its exhaust sound, and I think this one's going to satisfy them. I was never really a critic of the original Duke 200 sound, but I like this one better. And it's got that slight swinging exhaust, so the sound's coming out of that. The braking performance within the city from that 300mm disc up front, I find it to be pretty much good, but when you take it for the full review and take it on the highway, I think I can comment more about that. The new ergonomics, I'm in love with this. The seat is much wider, and after riding I can definitely say now Duke is no longer an uncomfortable bike to ride. It is one of the most comfortable commuters. I haven't checked out the pillion seat, but I expect similar stuff from it. It's good to see that KTM engineers did not stick to their own philosophy and just listen to customer feedback and gave us what most people wanted. 13.5 liters of fuel tank capacity. I don't think anybody has anything to complain about that. The new long elongated tank scoops and overall bodywork, the Duke 250 looks like a much bigger bike, and I think when you're looking at the FZ 250, which is its biggest competitor, it's gonna kill it in the looks department. Would I buy a Duke 250? If you want a motorcycle for just city commuting purposes and then you're gonna take it for a 100-kilometer long weekend ride to Athava, I think this bike makes a lot of sense, especially since you won't have the heating problem of the 390, though I believe that the 2017 Duke 390 won't have the heating problems as I have on my 2013 version. But still, you have a motorcycle which is much more frugal with the 30 kilometers per liter mileage within the city, and you've got the beautiful looks. Yes, it doesn't get ABS, throttle by wire and all of that. Beautiful Metzeler Sportec M5s are missing. If you don't like it, there's always the option of changing tires. What you cannot change so easily is ABS, and that is why I feel this motorcycle really needed it. And even if it was an option, but I can understand why they've kept ABS out, because if you introduce ABS, then this motorcycle's price will be going very close to the Duke 390, and then it may not sound like such a value for money proposition. So KTM has to balance according to the Indian market. I can understand when this motorcycle goes to the Europe, it will have ABS. So I hope you enjoyed the first impression of the KTM Duke 250. Do subscribe to our channel because we're gonna be doing a full review of this motorcycle. I've already done a full 300-kilometer road test of the 2017 RC 390. If you haven't watched that video, please watch that video by clicking here. And if you want to see more of this bike and the 2017 Duke 390, then subscribe and turn on the notification so that you will know when we make those motorcycle reviews for you guys first up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon. This is Rahul. Goodbye.